Hello everyone. Today is Fix Something Day, Fix a Problem Day. So we are in Homer, Alaska. It's a thing to turn around. There's our view from the campground. And up there is our Starlink, which works pretty good most of the time. It's a lifesaver when you don't have anything else, so yep, like the Starlink. Problem is, you see the cable wadded up on the steps, and the cable goes underneath the camper. I do have the flagpole mount, which I like. It's a little awkward getting it on the ladder because the ladder's a little too far forward and makes it a little tough, but it's doable. And I can put one more extension on it if I need to, if there's trees or anything. And then I stow the cable either here, depending which way I run the cable, or under the slide. But the cable comes around the tires, and ultimately comes in next to the slide. So right there is where my cable enters the inside, and the router is sitting on top of the TV for the Starlink. And that works. But without fail, almost every time we forget the cable and we have to put the slide in a few inches, run the cable, put the slide back out a few inches. So it makes for double work every time. Or I'll have to lock the slide out where only this one moves because the other one goes in all the way first. So to fix that, what we've done, or what I've done, is, let me turn the camera around, bought a quick disconnect right here. And let me put this on the tripod real quick and I'll be right back. It'll be easier to do. Okay, so now I got it on the tripod. So what I've done is bought this quick disconnect, which allows me to mount this into the wall of the RV, which I'm going to do here in a minute. I've already drilled the hole. I'll go over how I did that on our unit. This plug, which you can use a factory cable in here, you can make your own. I'm going to make my own for this end. The RJ45 plug goes up in here. RJ45 plug goes in the back of this piece. So it's all plug and play if you've got cables. And this just simply plugs into the outside of the camper and connects to Starlink. Push that, and it's waterproof. It's got an O-ring in it, it's tight. Unplug the Starlink, you get ready to travel, and it looks like that. So we're gonna put this in just a minute. So the other things I've got, the plug, silicone. I like the GE Advanced Silicone. Drill bits drill. I went ahead and got an Ethernet adapter for the Starlink. So this goes in line and gives you a data port, a LAN port, I guess you call it, so that I can hook my other router up, which runs the alarm system for the ring. So the ring has to have, and here comes a plane right over top of us. Anyway, hopefully you can hear me over the plane. The ring system has to have a direct connection. It's not Wi-Fi. So it does, I think it uses Wi-Fi for something, but it has to have that direct connection. So this will get me hooked to a router that's inside that was running off the T-Mobile. Hook the router up. This just goes in line with it. Has the same plug as the router. This goes in the bottom of the router. This goes to the antenna and gives you that RJ45 port. Bought a box of RJ45 ends. I bought at Lowe's because I wanted a good brand of stickers to stick on the wall to tie strap the cable to, where I run it inside the toy hauler. Then I bought these ends, which this one would go to the satellite dish and converts the cable to RJ45. And again, you can use a pre-made cable or make your own. I'm going to make my own on this one. This just compresses together, has a nice silicone gasket, makes this watertight. That goes in the antenna so that you can unhook it from here. In my case, this goes on the other end. I'm just going to unhook this and roll this part up around the antenna, leave this plugged in. It'll help lessen the wear and tear on that plug too, because it won't be always in and out all the time. All right, then the other end of the cable has an inside connection which is RJ45 by the same configuration as the router. And this simply, it's not a weatherproof connection. It plugs up inside, plugs into the router, you're good to go. In this case, it'll probably go to this, let this go in the router, and this will go into here, and then the RJ45. I know, it's a mess. But anyway, that will give me a quick disconnect on the outside of the rig. I saw this on Big Truck, Big Travels. A little different configuration, but I like this one. It's small, discreet, cheap, weatherproof. We'll see how it works. It's simple plug and play. You just plug your cable into it and you're done. And then your outside piece, you can either plug straight into it with a cable without weather protection, or you can install it into this and it gives you the weather tight seal with that inside. And that's the way we're gonna go. So this will go to the satellite dish, this will go on the wall. We're gonna go around there and mount this next. I've already drilled the hole, and I'll show you on a 2020 Momentum 397TH. I'll tell you that it's 13 and I believe 3/4 in the back of the rig. I'll show that to you in the video in case you have a Momentum and you want to try this. I did do a thermal scan and try to see if there was anything in the wall. It didn't appear to be, but I didn't want to trust that 100%. So I'll show you how I found out where the studs were at, and I was actually wrong. If I would have drilled the hole, I would have drilled through a stud about halfway. I'll show you that when we get on the inside. Let's go to the outside and get that part installed. All right, I've got the hole already drilled and everything on the back, so I can show you. There's the hole, and I'm fighting with a tripod, so sorry about the video moving, but there's the hole, and it is again 13 3/4 from the back. I got a tripod, but I'm still having to do this one-handed because I'm up in the air. So bear with me on the video. I know it's moving around. So hooking the outside of the trim on the trailer, you can see it's 13 3/4, maybe a hair more. That's where you hook the trim, I guess. But 13 3/4 is where I drilled the hole. Just to the right of this hole at about 13 to 12 to 13, there is a stud. And I'll show you on the inside how I determined that and how I figured out to drill right there. The thermal scans, I didn't realize how much real estate was used on the inside in here. This is a 13 inches, but on the inside, a lot of this is used up. So I thought I was going to be drilling somewhere in here. In reality, it came out behind the ladder. Fortunately, it's in the rung. It's not ideal, but I don't think it'll be a problem. The ladder's up. It's not going to hurt it. Just if I have to climb the ladder and the Starlink's connected, I'll have to be careful not to hit that with my foot. So let's get this put in, get that done with. So the plan for this is to connect my cable that I've already pulled through the wall. So we're connected. I'm going to put some silicone in the holes that I drilled. I'm not worried about any extra getting on it, because if it does, I can clean that up later. The unit was just waxed not too long ago, so I do feel like it will clean up okay. And I cut the hole, and it is going to have quite a bit outside the connection. I can see that now. I did cut the hole on the inside rather snug so that it will wipe off the silicone when I push it into the hole. Yeah, I like that, except for that bottom corner. Could use a little more. It's got a gasket on it, but I like the silicone extra gasketing. Yeah, that's going to leave plenty of excess outside. Oh, I did have to drill out the holes because it comes with machine bolts to like panel mount this, and I wanted to mount it, of course, with screws, and there is a metal backing plate in here for the ladder. So I'm screwing into that metal backer. So it's plenty tight. My bottom right screw is barely catching. Again, I don't mind the excess silicone as a backup for my screw not biting as good as I'd hoped. It feels like it's got something. Oh yeah, it's pulling the gasket down. So basically, when that silicone dries, it's fine on the top. The front side's got a little bulge of silicone. I'm gonna let that dry. I can cut that gently with a razor, pull that right off, and you won't even see it. The other reason I'm doing this, the way I'm doing it, a lot of people cut the Starlink cable. Didn't really want to do that. They're expensive, they're big, and the thought is I'll roll this up, put it back in the storage bag, and if we need to remote the disc out the front for some reason, I can use this cable and just go straight to the router with it. So it gives me another option. All right, so that's the outside. Let me get another shot of it here. Like so, you can see the excess glue on it. That'll come off. Even there, it doesn't look too bad. But I will cut that off tomorrow or the next day, let it cure out a little bit, and then we can plug into it. So I'm going to make a piece of cable to go from the satellite dish and include an extra 4 foot for the extension I've got inside. So I can put that on there and have plenty of cable, and I'll just let it loop down below the ladder, back up and plug in. And that'll take care of the outside just by making that connection up. And the inside, I've got to run the cable around the wall, over the bed, back around to the cabinet. I'll go inside and show you that, and won't bore you with putting a bunch of stickers on. But I'll go inside and show you where I'm going to put the cable, how I'm going to route it, and why and where I'm putting it. So see you inside. Okay, so we're inside the garage of the toy hauler, and I'm going to try, hopefully there's enough light. I might have to use a flashlight. I'll try to show you where I ran the cable. I think I'm going to add the flashlight to it just to make sure there's enough light. So anyway, as you can see in here, it's not 13 inches back. It's only about 4 from the wall because I have the 3 season doors. So be aware of that if you're measuring. But I don't know if you can see the holes I drilled, but I was going to put it to the left about 1 inch. I drilled a hole and it was fine. The next 2 holes hit a stud, so I went the other direction, drilled a hole, and said, okay, these are just little 1/8 inch holes. It could be smaller. And I said, okay, I can put it right where it's at and not hit a stud. So that's how I determined where the stud was at, because the thermal just didn't give me a good enough idea of what was between here and here. You can't tap on this stuff and find out, so I wasn't sure where the stud was at. The thermal did not indicate anything in here. On the outside, I could see this and I could see this, but whatever stud that is about right here, it didn't show up. So outside, 13 3/4 comes out right there, and that worked out well. I drilled a little bit bigger than a 1/4 inch hole for that wire to come through, and I'm going to come over here up the side of this door framing, across the top, around, ultimately coming out right there in that corner, and I'm going to drill a hole in that cabinet to bring it into this cabinet. And this is where I've got my router, I've got our T-Mobile up there, I've got the ring system right here that is unplugged because it won't work without that direct RJ45 cable. So that'll get that back working. It'll get our Nighthawk router working again, that runs to some of the cameras and stuff. But mainly I'm going to get the ring back up and working. So I'm not going to bore everybody with putting little stickers on the wall and running the cable. I'll come back to you when I get the cable ran and how I make up the connections. See you then. All right, so I got my cable cut to length, and I'm going to work on trimming them down. Make sure you put the ends on the cable first. So I have both of the locking ends on the cable. Then this piece goes on last. I've already cut back the wires, and I'm using a 568B connection, and basically the pairs of wires, the green ones, go on either side of the blue. So the wiring I'm using is brown with a stripe, solid green, blue with a stripe, solid blue, green with a stripe, solid orange, orange with a stripe. And that's looking at the back of the connector opposite of the little locking tab. So I'm in the back of the connector, and I was going left to right. So if I go right to left, if I go left to right, it's orange with a stripe, orange, green with a stripe, blue, blue with a stripe, green, brown with a stripe, brown. And that matches the other end of the factory cable. So you get these threaded in there. I like to push through connectors. Just you can check your wiring a lot easier, especially when you're old like me and you can't see anymore. It's really difficult to look through that connector and see those wires. So I got this, got the crimpers. So we'll put this into the crimper. It clicks. Squeeze that down. That's done. And if you notice, there's extra wire here. That's where I cut off the last connector because I did it wrong. Take a pocket knife, cut off the extra wires. I know there's a better way to do this. I'm in a hurry. Alright, nice and neat. They're all cut off. So I'm not going to hook this up just yet. I do have a tester that comes in very handy to plug this up on both ends, push the button, and if you get 4 green lights over here, that means your pair 1 and 2, 3 and 6, 4, 5, 7, 8 are correct. So I've tested the cable, I know it's good. I didn't miss a wire didn't get broke, etc. So this is a connector to the dish. Already got it. This is the factory end. I did have to cut the little plastic cover, or the little green rubber cover off of this because it doesn't work with these ends. The ends work, just the rubber cover has to come off. So this plugs in like so. This goes up, and it's not a twist lock, it's a twist compression. Compresses that little seal. Then this one is a compression. So that makes this waterproof. So that'll go up into the dish, and this cable will stay with the dish. And this one goes on here, and all it does is go on from the outside, and you line the little locking tab up in here, and I've got to line a little square and push. It comes through, and I see I need to work on a wire. One wire still sticking out there. Nice and clean. Okay. So line it back up, push that through, push in the compressive part. It's got to line up a certain way to drop in there, and it holds the little tab down on the connector. And there's a big flat spot. There we go. Now the yellow O-ring is up with the metal. This one comes around behind it. I'm using a little bigger cable than I think what this was designed for. I tried to research and get the best outdoor cable I could find. Okay, so that is made up. This cable is complete and ready to hook up to the dish outside. And that, again, this will stay with the dish. This will plug into the wall. This adapter will plug into the dish, the Starlink dish, and this will be the only plug that comes apart every time, which is easily replaceable if it wears out. And I may upgrade this later to something different. This was just the first attempt to see how it works. I've got another cable to run, another end to put on, and get everything set up, and we'll switch it over and see how it works. I'm going to run a speed test before we do this, like just before, then I'm going to rewire everything, run another speed test, see how it works. See you then. Alright, so I got both of the cables made up, tested. Had a little trouble with that, but I just reconnected, retested, it worked. So there is my connection and enough cable to run all 3 extensions if I use it, and the adapter on the end of it that makes it for the Starlink. Now this was interesting to put up with a trailer this high. It's going to probably be just as interesting to get it down. But if I fall off the ladder, at least I got it filmed. All right, maybe I can do this without having to get off the ladder. Starlink's undone. Get the cable out. Maybe I can untwist this when it goes up. Got the new one in. Starlink's hooked back up. Now let's see if we can reconnect it without falling off the ladder. This is what I was talking about. It's a little bit difficult with the corner of the trailer right here, but it's doable. I don't remember which way it was aiming. All right, so normally I wouldn't need a ladder. Normally it wouldn't be this high. But the little hole, I know you guys can't see it from there, there's a little hole in the plug. It goes down and catches this little latch. And you hear it click when it goes in, and it's a watertight connection. At least that's what it says. And excess cable can come down there like that. I'm hoping that that cable will relax over time. It's got a pretty good memory to it. Okay, let's go inside. All right, so I'm gonna show you where all this goes. Just the camera back down. So on a 397, you've got these little cubbies in the garage, and I've got the Nighthawk router mounted, T-Mobile home internet mounted, power strip, ring alarm is over here, and I've got the cable ran for the new Starlink connection. So don't know where I'm gonna put the Starlink yet. I'm gonna go ahead and hook it up, make sure everything works. And then I've got a little mount that I bought on Amazon that goes like this. I'm not sure where I'm going to mount it yet. Either underneath the Nighthawk up there in the corner on this side. I hadn't decided yet. So let's get the thing working, then we'll figure out where we're going to put it. So relocate it in here, plug it up real quick, and it should be done. I'll be right back. Okay, so have the router, and I got new cable. That's plugged in. Like I say, for right now, I'm just going to set it right there. Okay, no fat jokes. Plug that in, and that should be it. Nighthawk should be working. Can't tell if Starlink's working because there's no lights on it except on the very bottom. And the light on the bottom is on. So we're gonna test it, test the Nighthawk router, and if all that works, we will do another speed test. I did a speed test before I took it apart. I had 35 and 10 from Starlink. I had 6.22 and 10 on speedtest.net. So I got 2 numbers to compare it to. So once it's back up and running, we'll do some speed test and see where we're at. I'll be back then. All right, so to summarize my Starlink fix, we have replaced the cable with this Cat 5 coax, or Cat 5 cable, not coax. Got a new plug, adapter on the Starlink, enough cable to add my other extension if I need it. Don't need this anymore. I'll roll that up here in a few minutes. I'm done with that. So coming around to the toy hauler section, wanted to keep everything back here. So ignore the mess because I have moved stuff everywhere out of the way. So I go around here in circles from that back corner where it punched through the wall, up above the 3-season doors, up to the top of the wall, across, and you can see the cable there. I've got a couple more stickers to put on and ties, and there's a close-up of the sticker and tie. Had a couple more to put back there, but I gotta let the bed down. It's a little bit of work. And Starlink is right there. It is connected to the Ring alarm system, which also has water sensors on it in the basement. So now that's functional, because before I couldn't access it through my Nighthawk router, and I think something's wrong with it. It's not acting right, so I gotta do some work on it later. But that's all for today. So it's all done. I'll put links to everything that I used down at the bottom in the comments. I'll check that out. You can also check out jpxrv.com. We have a Amazon affiliate store there. You can check out the store. It has a lot of RV stuff that we use, from supplies to repair parts. There's just dozens of things on there you can go check out, and just save you some time looking for something that works. We've checked it out. We've used it, or we still use it. And if it's in that store, we trust it. If it's something that didn't work for us, we don't put it in the store. So jpxrv.com, top of the page, click on store or hover over store, and it'll drop down a list of all the categories you can look at. All right, till then, see you next time.